Bult. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is the second interview I've ever done on YouTube. So bear with me and how this all goes. But I've got some great people with me here today. Two women who have probably been up the hill more than most. I think, Lili, I calculated your number of times up you would have climbed Mount Washington 9.6 times, or Mount Everest 9.6 times. So that's pretty
Wow.
impressive. You could tell people that you've been up Everest almost 10 times. It just was Mount Washington.
Great. That's great.
So I have Lili Pugh and Carol Bult, who, when I took over this role with the Tin Mountain, both, I mean, you reached out to me, gave me 100% support last year, a lot of encouragement. Unfortunately, due to different circumstances, I didn't get to meet you in person. But I hear you're going to be coming back and you'll be here this year. And I just wanted to interview these women to show, just the community that surrounds Mount Washington, that it really is for any type of rider, whether you're a pro, whether you're an amateur, whether it's just your bucket list and you want to do it. I think when you listen to them, I'm already like choked up from our pre-conversation. I think when you listen to them, you realize how special this hill climb is. And really, we're about a month away from registration open. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to hear from some folks about why they keep coming back after 62 times to redo the mountains. So with that, we're just going to start with kind of the easy stuff. So Lili, you pointed out behind you. Where are you ladies from?
I am from Seal Harbor, Maine, which is based in the heart of Acadia National Park on Mount Desert Island.
Some pretty nice riding there.
Be-
Beautiful.
Beautiful riding. We have the carriage roads of Acadia National Park, which is 52 plus or minus miles of carriage roads through the interior of the park. And then we have a 19-mile paved park loop, and then the best training ground for Mount Washington in the world, which is a 3.8-mile route up Cadillac Mountain that runs about 6% grade. And if you extend it all the way down to Eagle Lake and Bubble Pond, you get about 5.5 miles of training. All of that, or you can just spend hours and hours on Zwift riding up Alp de Zwift.
Having done that many times, I'd rather go up Cadillac Mountain, I think. And so, Carol, what about you? Is Cadillac Mountain your go-to training as well?
Yeah, that definitely. Although realistic training, Alp de Zwift is actually pretty realistic for what it's like to go up Mount Washington. Actually, I think Alp de Zwift is easier than Mount Washington. But those two, riding Cadillac and Zwift, are really the primary training that I do for Mount Washington.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your backgrounds. I mean, you both have done Mount Washington a lot of times. Lili, in our pre-conversation, I got a really good history, certainly some names I think that folks out, that have done the hill climb are familiar with. So you want to just kind of give a brief overview of where you were, how you started, and, kind of the athlete that you are now.
Sure. So I was a multi-sport athlete my whole life, and predominantly the what transitioned me into a much more higher focus of cycling was I was a multi-sport athlete at Harvard. I was varsity field hockey, squash, lacrosse, and then I donated my right knee to AstroTurf. And in my recovery from a severe knee injury, I met up with John Alice, who was one of the all-time greats of Mount Washington, who was the Harvard cycling team coach, and they recruited me to join the Harvard cycling team. And once I started riding with them, we had our preseason training camp in September, was in the White Mountains, and we did Mount Washington as part of our preseason training camp. Living in Franconia, riding all the way over to Mount Washington, riding up the mountain, and then riding back to the camp at Franconia. So we got some pretty severe early season training, and then I was fortunate enough to spend a number of years out in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center, and I did road racing, velodrome racing, and mountain bike racing out there. And I brought that love of cycling and involvement in cycling back. And as soon as I moved back to the East Coast, I started going back up the mountain again.
That's quite the adventure. And I mean, it blew my mind when you said it, but in 1983 in like women's sports, you were playing lacrosse in Harvard, you were racing, at a high level in cycling, which is rare. It was a rare thing in the 80s. So I think, again, for women who are paying attention, and watching this, that's awesome. And that's an amazing trajectory for that time.
We had Rebecca Twigg and Connie Carpenter Finney were in our regular Colorado races in the 80s. So,
and how many women were in those races total?
There was probably about 20 or 25.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and when they had the cycling world championships there, they recruited a whole bunch of us very good racers who were not national rank racers to just join in the world championship.
Just fill the field.
Go, race with the guys, race with the gals going up Pikes Peak.
Nice. So Carol, when did you meet Lili, and what was she doing when you met her? Was she racing every weekend and dragging you along, or?
Yeah, well, unlike Lili, I am not a superhuman athlete, and was actually not ever involved in competitive athletics in my life, but I was always a cyclist. I mean, I've always loved riding my bike, but never really training like serious training for an event until I met Lili. And when we met at the local area bike shop rides, and we were, I think, like the only two women in the group of men that would ride on these Sunday morning rides. And so Lili made sure that, because I would be dropped like a block down out of the ride, I'm already 5 minutes behind the guys. And Lili always came back and pulled me along and taught me a lot about the mechanisms of cycling and group cycling and racing and training, and it was great. It was a great way to get fit, and I learned a lot about biking, cycling competitively. And in 2006, I think it was, I supported her on her ride at Mount Washington. And it was just that experience of the mountain and all those people and just the sheer intensity of the effort and the beauty of the mountain and the camaraderie among the riders. It was just really inspiring to see people, some people after about an hour and other people longer, just coming across that finish line, and the looks on their faces and the feeling of accomplishment was sort of infectious. And so Lili convinced me that I could do it. And so started training and got all ready to do it in 2007, which is the year both the Mount Washington bike ride and the Newton's Revenge, which used to be run in July, were canceled because of weather. So I didn't actually race until 2008, but I got to go up the mountain 4 times in 2007, and it was just an amazing experience.
I like how you said she convinced you, but I don't think it took a lot of arm twisting.
The interesting thing about that year was the spirit of the riders. When we all got to the bottom of the mountain, it was pretty obvious that we weren't going to race. Everybody was upset, but everybody was like, what can we do to help? And, we all joined together. We did this group ride over to Hurricane Mountain and back.
Oh,
and
wow.
then we did the makeup ride. We made banners. We made a pretend finish line. I mean, like the 300 people that came for the makeup ride, it was as good as the race. And I think that made Mary Power, who was the prior race director, it made her so proud that this event meant so much to the racers that everyone was going to make that effort. We were there at the finish line. Carol and I went up early for the makeup ride. We got there. We took every single rider's pictures and sent them all to Mary. And Mary distributed the pictures of everyone who crossed the finish line.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's just an example of the spirit of the event.
Yeah, and you know, as a new event coordinator, just that sense, and especially from you both, like just the outpouring of emails and the life experiences, and the, you know, for me, what I learned was kind of what we've talked about before was, you know, they had cancer and they're like, well, I did it because I needed to train before chemo, and I did it after because I needed to prove I could do it. Yep. And it's like they look at the mountain as this kind of like a friend yeah. that's pushing them to do something. And, you know, how do you, when you think of it, how do you think of it as like a friend, a loved one, you know, is something that's always there in your life? I mean, I think you kind of alluded to that, but I want to hear it in your words.
So Carol, why don't you start?
Well, I think that the word that always comes to my mind is just, and I steal this from Lili, is gratitude. I mean, the opportunity to ride your bike up that mountain, and it is very special. It's rare. It's not something you can do every day. And I'm grateful that I'm healthy enough, right? That I have the health, that I have the ability to actually do that. And I ride the mountain in honor of friends of mine and people who can no longer do this, either because they passed away or they're not physically able to. And then you've got the community, the sense of community. So I think it's the sense of community and just the attitude of, I'm so grateful that the mountain is here and that I have a chance to go up it and that I'm healthy enough to even attempt it. I think that overcomes the fear of a 12% grade, you know, and the fact that it's a sustained effort for so long. Fortunately, I think the good feelings overcome the fear of maybe I'm not going to make it, or maybe I'm going to fall off my bike at some point. So yeah, I think community and gratitude are the things that the mountain reminds me of very vividly.
I love that word. Sorry, hold on. I've got a little munchkin coming to kiss me good night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi there.
Hi. Hi. You can come in a little closer.
There you go.
All right. Okay, go.
Bye.
Bye. No, I love that word too, and I know that's how I felt when it was done, is the gratitude that the community even let me be a part of this, and we're so open. And I think for people who might see this video that have always had it, you know, they ride their bikes by it because they ride over Pinkham Notch, or they have friends who have done it, or you know, they're just ready, or they're ready for that challenge. You know, I think hearing those words from you show the picture that it's, you know, it's not just like beefcakes and spandex, you know, riding up. It's really this kind of love, this community and this culture, because not everybody gets to do it. And when you get to do it, you're now like in that group. And that's, I think, wonderful. I love that word, gratitude. It's really beautiful. And so Lili, it's going to be hard to top what Carol said.
Well, I share everything that Carol so eloquently said, and I call the mountain as my guardian angel in my life, because it reminds me to be grateful that I'm healthy enough to do it. Number one, it reminds me to keep things simple, because you just have to think about just pedal, and you know, and if you have the opportunity to look up and look at this great expanse, this huge towering castle of difficulty, but you know, all you have to do is go another 10 feet. Keep it simple, because people, it can be very overwhelming down in the parking lot looking up at the top. And when you're on some of those long straightaways, going up a mountain where you have lots of turns is easy. As steep as those switchbacks are, the long straightaways are brutal because it's very hard to judge your progress. And what you need to do is just think about things, make a song in your head, think about 20 pedal strokes. That's all I have to do is go another 20 pedal strokes and relax. Stand up, stretch your back, change your body position and things, but break it down into small segments. I mean, I have little iconic places that I look for the whole time that I'm going up, and I'm like, oh, all I have to do is I have to make it to the stream up there, and then you start to also know the people that are supporting the race, and you're like, hey Frank, how's it going? And they're like, need some water? I'm like, no, I'm good today, and then you have the unknowns, the weather. On a beautiful day, you can scream up the mountain and not have any issues. When you have wind and weather, it's what equipment do you bring? Bring enough equipment to keep yourself comfortable, and don't be afraid when the winds are high. The winds come in gusts. Let yourself be blown a little bit, bend with it. Don't fight it. Don't fight the mountain, because guess what? The mountain's going to win. If you're humble and say, I'm going to work with the mountain and work with the elements to make my way and just keep it simple, that's the way you make it up the mountain. And that way you keep your mind fresh. You're not feeling like the mountain is beating you. And, in certain of those super steep places, go wide into the parking lot and then just make it across, think about it as little teeny blocks of opportunities to learn about yourself and work with the mountain. Don't fight against the mountain, work with it.
Yeah, there's so many metaphors for life in there.
Oh yeah.
You bet.
I mean, I could use you on a ride, Lili, that's for sure. No, but I mean, and that's, I think, when we look at the mountain, and I think that's the draw, is that is the metaphor, and it is insurmountable when you look at it. But when you get down to the pavement, just a little bit more. And I love how you can point out the sights along the way, because between the two of these women, they have gone up it over 100 times.
Yeah, but it's different every time. It's different every time.
So, but as anybody can know, but, again, what you bring to the mountain can definitely change. And whether that's emotion, the physical, all of that can change your ride and the weather. So it is always different, even though you've been up it 100 times. And
I think one other thing, Erin, that I want people to think about, especially anybody new thinking about the mountain, is your first time up the mountain, be humble with your gearing. Your second time up the mountain, you can change your gearing to whatever hard backside gearing you want to do. First time up the mountain. I've only had one person since 1983 that I've coached or guided on gearing who basically said my gears were too easy. It's better to be able to have a pie plate that you can gear down. Yes. If you're feeling great, but if you need the big pie plate, have it, and at least have it for the first time you go up the mountain, because you'll learn from that experience. But gearing, don't let your ego drive your gears.
There's nothing worse than looking down and going, oh, I can't go anymore.
There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So then you're like, we're just going to grind now. But well, we have a couple more minutes before I get kicked off of Zoom here. So I think we've kind of touched upon a lot of the different stuff. But I think, really quickly, 30 seconds or less, you obviously, Lili, you are an accomplished athlete who's pivoted now. But you're still active. I like to call ourselves, like, I used to race like these kind of everyday athletes. We love racing, we love training, we just love it. I don't care, But so what do you do? Do you have a coach? Carol, do you have a coach, or do you just live, kind of lean into your experiences and your experience with the hill? And, what are the 3 things you do as you're preparing for this that an everyday athlete might want to know?
Well, Lili is my coach. Has been my.
You're lucky.
Yeah. I think the thing that makes a big difference for me is to make sure you work on your core, like really focus on your core and your back. And then obviously just climb everything you can on your bike. There's no substitute, I think, for the uphill training, but that and core work, I think, are really what has enabled me to go up the mountain and enjoy the experience, and not have it be physically overwhelming. So I think those two things.
And I would agree with Carol, time on the bike, but at our general human being stuff, I mean, hiking, biking, all of that stuff. Most importantly for the event is, as you're out there training, doing hard training rides, focus on your mental training. If you're physically fit and you have the right gearing, anybody can make it up the mountain, as long as you stay in the moment and really allow yourself mentally to persevere, and persevere with kindness to yourself. Don't persevere by beating yourself up the mountain. Make this be an experience that you can learn about yourself, the depth and the focus, and use your mental strength to complement your physical strength.
Yeah, that's awesome. We are probably going to get kicked off here in about half a second.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to meet you both in person. Thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait to see you at the mountain. So thank you.